you go. Today's pretty bad too. There's a big triathlon happening today. I don't know if you guys have seen the Escape to Alcatraz triathlon.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit as the route. You guys can imagine trying to do that. Okay, let's get out of the parking lot, shall we?
Okay.
Good first step of a tour, you know. Make sure we don't hit any segways.
Okay. I've scared away all the children.
Oh, good. I wanted to hit at least one or two, you know. Yeah.
Some of the ones that are in the thing already.
Okay, let's straighten out a little bit. And now we should have big enough turning. Here we go. Ooh, just hit Brian a little bit. There we go.
Hit me, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we made it. Here we go. Let's go see San Francisco, shall we?
Sound like a good idea.
Okay, where's your accent from? Arkansas. Okay, I've been to Hot Springs, Arkansas before. Very beautiful.
Well, I don't hardly ever get that far south.
Yeah.
Up there at Walmart.
Okay. Well, I secretly love Walmart. It's a very magical place, and they sell every tutu in every color, so that's all I really need in life. So is this our first time in San Francisco?
Yes.
Okay. So
And first time in U.S.
First time in the United States. Oh my God.
We
I
have
feel
just arrived.
honored.
We have just arrived last night.
Well, COVID's a perfect time to visit.
COVID is the reason that she wasn't here a lot sooner.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we made it. How long are we staying for?
Forever.
Oh, we've moved here. Welcome. So where did we move to then? San Francisco or Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay. Congratulations on the big move. How are we feeling so far?
Good. Cold.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get the accent down now.
Yeah, it's almost always 80 degrees.
Yes.
Hotter in Manila.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly here in the summers. We get a lot of fog in summer here. I love that you guys, your hands are up though back there. You're getting the full Jeep experience. But yeah, it will be, so if you guys literally leave San Francisco at all though while you're here, it's a lot warmer outside of the city. If you guys have discovered that, I don't know if you guys are going anywhere else on this trip.
I drove across the Mojave to get here.
Okay, there you go. That'll do
I
it.
know.
So do we know any San Francisco history then? Do we learn any of that growing up at all? Probably not.
Not much.
No? Okay, good. So I can lie to you guys for the next 2 hours what I'm getting at?
Sure.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, so there was actually a robot rebellion here in the early 1700s. No, totally kidding. Let's learn some history, shall we? So as we drive around, I like talking about the things we're seeing, but also giving you guys a general history. So feel free to ask questions. If I missed something or we're jumping around in our story and you didn't know what was going on, let me know and I'll happily clarify things. And again, if I don't know it, I'll just make something up. Just don't use your smartphones in the next 2 hours and we're good.
Sure.
Totally kidding. Ideally, my information is accurate. So far in the past year, no one's called me out. So, you know, that's always a good sign. So we're heading down to the Marina District. There have been a few road closures due to the triathlon, but I'm pretty sure most of them have been taken out now. So we're going to hope that we're able to get everywhere we need to go today. If we have to reroute a few things, though, I'll try to still make it the greatest 2 hours of our lives. So I'll do my best. My first morning tour was pretty rough. We got rerouted a lot, but the triathlon is supposed to end by 1. So ideally, everyone's kind of at least on their way to cross the finish line or crossing it right now. So just because it's happening today, I'll talk a little bit about it, and you guys can try to use your imaginations. I personally would die if I tried to do a triathlon. Do we know what a triathlon is, for starters? You swim, bike, and run.
Swim?
Swim. So the Escape to Alcatraz swim is, hold on, it's about to come into view. I might need a few more blocks. Let's see. Okay, we can't quite see it just yet.
Swim, walk, and run.
Okay, yeah, so we're about to come into view, but there's a prison out there. So Alcatraz is an old prison that we used to have here. It's open for about 20 years. It was one of the most expensive prisons to keep up, though, because it's in the middle of the ocean. And during that time, there were 3 escape attempts, 1 successful. And now we have a kind of race, it's called the Escape to Alcatraz. Is they take a ferry of people out there and they have to swim back from the prison in the bay. And the coursing river, it's just craziness what they do. So we're gonna see it. So yeah, see that right there to our left now? You see that prison out there, that building in the middle of the water? They brought around 400 people in ferry out to that prison. They all jumped off the ferry, literally jumping into the cold, freezing cold water, swam to shore here, then had to run from the shore up to this marina here. Then they switched to bike clothes, got on their bikes, biked all the way to Golden Gate Park. We're about to drive that now, so you'll get an idea. Came back, and then got on their bike clothes and started running, and had to run all the way to the beach and back. All this morning, all before 1 o'clock.
Wow.
Can you guys imagine that? It's crazy. So this is the end of it. You can see everyone's finishing up the race. So it's a very famous race. They didn't do it last year, obviously, because of COVID, but they brought it back this year. And yeah, these people are probably the most in-shape people you're going to find in all the land is doing a triathlon. So it's very exciting. So yeah, this is our marina area. If you guys can actually imagine, this is all built over a landfill. Okay, so they used to have a big boat landfill out here. So a lot of boats that were falling apart, they just threw out here. And then in 1906, we had a big earthquake. The earth shook. And a lot of San Francisco got completely destroyed. And we brought all that rubble out to our boat landfill. And then we decided to pave over it and build some of the most expensive houses in San Francisco. So the most expensive houses are sitting on trash, ironically. We'll talk a lot about that earthquake while we drive around today. But in 1915, after the earthquake, they kind of wanted to celebrate and have a big fair. So they had what was called the Panama Pacific Fair. It was kind of like a world fair. So in a world without internet, we had fairs to learn about other people's cultures. So they had 6 different countries and 32 states involved. And they built these beautiful structures and tents, and it lasted 6 months long. And during that time, they built our gorgeous Palace of Fine Arts. So we're going to turn up a corner here and go check it out. It's this beautiful Coliseum-like structure that was built for the Panama Pacific Fair in 1915. It originally was built with wood and steel. However, it started to fall apart in the 1950s, and we rebuilt it out of stone. So we're going to go check it out now. And yeah, feel free to ask questions about anything I just brought up. We'll go back to things too if you're lost this whole time. But I want to make sure you guys are having a good time and knowing what we're seeing. So again, these apartments are very expensive. Does anyone want to guess the average rent of a studio apartment in the marina? Any ideas?
10,000?
Oh, not that bad. That'd be really bad. It's about 2,000 for a studio a month. Yeah, which I don't know. I personally could not afford that. But that's like a really small studio.
Wow.
So a little bit more probably than Arkansas.
Some parts of Arkansas.
Really? Okay.
You get down around Walmart general offices.
Gets pretty pricey?
It gets really pricey.
Good to know. Okay. I've actually heard really wonderful things about Arkansas. I feel like it's a kind of a state people don't think about, but I don't know, it was very beautiful when I was there. So yeah, we're gonna come around the corner and we'll see our beautiful Palace of Fine Arts. Your arms are gonna get tired over there if you're gonna keep the boat. I mean, I believe in you guys. No, truly, but yeah. Do you guys have your phones up there? Is that what's going on?
Not sure.
Or just hands? No, hey, I believe in you.
Hands.
Go for it. Whole ride, I want it up there. Yeah, no. So this is our beautiful Palace of Fine Arts. Pretty cool, right?
Wow.
So I'll give you guys a second to grab some photos. And then if you guys want to, we can jump out. I know it's just a lot of work for everyone to get in and out of the vehicle. So. So most of the people that lived out here, obviously, before the Spanish settlers came, were obviously the Native Americans. So the two tribes that lived out here were the Ohlone and Miwok tribes. And they lived out here for about 3,000 to 4,000 years before the Spanish settlers showed up. So quite a long time. They mostly lived on the coastal areas though, so out by the water. They did a lot of fishing and shellfish collecting. And then over the years, they did come into San Francisco, to what we consider downtown San Francisco, to collect what was called the yerba buena plant. It was a medicinal herbal plant that grew very much in San Francisco. Now, of course, people come into San Francisco for a different medicinal plant, but still the same concept. I'm kidding. So, but yeah, so then, does anyone know when Columbus got lost in the ocean blue? There we go, our American help us out. So it was 1492 that Columbus sailed over here. It wasn't until 1776 that Spanish settlers showed up in San Francisco. So it was quite a few hundred years later. So when they did, though, they built the Presidio out here, which is what we're about to drive through. It was their most northern army base, and they eventually joined Mexico. So this was actually all Mexico before 1848. So we officially were Mexico, and then in 1848 we had the Mexico-American War. Does anyone make any guesses who won? No, it's okay. Don't worry. I would have loved Mexico too. So yeah, so the United States won, and this land became California, and we became the 31st state of the United States of America in 1848. However, something else was happening in 1848. We were digging around in the ground and we found treasure in the form of... Yeah, there we go. It's okay, you guys don't know American history. Yeah, we found gold in the ground. It was a very exciting time. The very famous year for the gold rush is 1849, which is where we got our football team title, the 49ers, from, is the gold miners. Yeah, don't worry, I didn't make that connection until I literally started working on this tour. Lived here my whole life, never realized that's why we had the 49ers. So there you go. So yeah, we'll talk a lot about the gold rush, but I want to talk about the Presidio a little bit. So yeah, the Presidio was, again, an army base during the Mexico-American War. It then went into U.S. territory, and it became a training facility for the Army for quite a few years, until World War II. So during World War II, Pearl Harbor, which was an army base out on Hawaii Islands, was attacked. People believed that Japan was going to come attack California next. So they brought a full active army out here and built out 3 battery rams. And what those are is a place for a cannon to literally sit and shoot out into the water or the sky. So we're going to go to Fort Point now. That's one of them. And they were all ready for Japan to attack, and well, Japan never attacked. So we pulled out our active army base, and it became a training facility until the 1990s, when we donated it to the National Park Service, and now it's a national monument, which means it's public for everyone to use. Woohoo! So we got bike rides through here, we got beautiful meadows to have picnics in our gorgeous foggy weather. This weather does not stop San Franciscans. This is pretty normal for us, so people will come out and picnic, whether it's foggy or sunny, either way. There's some public beaches on the bay on the other side, which some triathlon people had to run over today. And then a lot of these old army buildings were renovated, so we've got a rock climbing gym in here. There's actually a historical Disney museum. George Lucas, if we're Star Wars fans, has some offices in here. So a lot of fun stuff. I've been told apparently this bike ride is on the Peloton route, so if you ever ride on a Peloton, you can ride in San Francisco. So we're going to head over to the Golden Gate Bridge, and we'll go get some photos of the bridge a little closer up.
Okay.
How are we doing temperature-wise, by the way? Is everyone warm enough?
Warm.
Warm is relative, yeah. Not freezing. I think I left a few blankets in the car if you want to use them. There should be 2 in the very back. So we do, funny enough, have a pet cemetery in the Presidio here. So if you ever want to go see any of the very famous pets in there, we've got Roscoe the raccoon, we've got Chili the coyote, you know, the casual pets of San Francisco. So yeah, so we're gonna drive over to the Golden Gate Bridge. So the Golden Gate Bridge was built in the 1926 to 1936. So during that time, the United States was in the Great Depression, and we decided to build the most expensive, dangerous bridge in America. Seems like a great idea, right? So we ended up building it, and because it was the Great Depression, a lot of people were desperate for work. So they literally were willing to risk their lives to build the Golden Gate Bridge. And if you came to work on it, it was called the Halfway to Hell Club. And they had these nets underneath the bridge to catch people if they fell. And for the first 9 years, though, they only had one casualty. And in the last year of the build, a scaffolding fell, broke the net, and took 10 people with it. It's very devastating. Luckily, though, we were in the last year of the build, so we finished it. And it was opened for public use in 1936. So we first opened it actually just for pedestrians to walk the whole thing, and they kept track of all the firsts, which is really funny. So they have like the first man, the first woman, but my favorite is they also have like the first twins to walk across the bridge, and the first unicyclist to go across the bridge, and the first juggler. So you can look up all the firsts of the Golden Gate Bridge. Now it is open to cars, and pedestrians can walk on the sidewalk of it though. It's 1.7 miles long, and it's 90% of the time covered in fog.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you guys know this, but our fog actually has a name. It's called Carl. You can follow him on Instagram at Carl the Fog. I am not joking. And Carl is in today, unfortunately, but I think we'll be able to see at least some of the bridge. A little bit, yeah. It was a lot worse this morning, yeah. Carl the Fog. So there's our beautiful Golden Gate Bridge. I always like asking, is it on a bucket list item? Would we like to drive over it, or would we like to do something else? Pretty much, if we want to drive over it, I just reroute something else then, yeah. So totally up to you guys if we want to. If not, no worries. I have other things we can go see.
You've got other things that I've seen the bridge now.
Okay, what about the rest of you? Okay. Keep me updated if you need me to pull over again. So the run that they had to do actually was all through these paths. They had to run up and down these hills. And they went out to Baker Beach. So Baker Beach is actually where the festival Burning Man started, if we've ever heard of Burning Man. It's a big hippie festival where they burn an effigy of a man at the end of it. It's very funny. Okay, so where were we in our story? Let's see, yeah, gold mining town.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so the gold mining time was a really crazy time for San Francisco. A lot of things were also happening in the rest of the United States. So many men were leaving their homes, and actually one of the first waves of feminism took place, not on purpose, but more on accident, as a lot of women had to start kind of doing what would be considered the men's roles back home, because there was no men to do them, because they were all in San Francisco trying to strike it rich. of artists move down here and said, this is crazy, we're San Francisco, we love color. And so a lot of artists actually asked if they could paint these private homes. So they came around with pretty much good until 1989. So in 1989, we were stuck in the good earth race. And here's the one story you can tell people because it's so we actually, what happened was, in the time of the earthquake, it happened 5 weeks, and we were guaranteed to make the World Series. Here is two big teams. We've got the A's, which live on the East Bay, Oakland. We've got the San Francisco Giants. The very first and only time they've ever played their team conference World Series. And because these are the two area teams that were in this area, every conference did watch 4 teams. So everyone said, oh, we need to do these stars. That's what the earthquake did. The snow was on the road, thousands of feet of lines were saved. We're all now expecting the next big earthquake to happen. No one knows when it's going to, of course. It will, exactly. It's gonna. We just don't know when. Hopefully when I'm not around. It's very good. So Rob is making some units out here. We will all fall into a black hole. Okay. Hopefully that's not great. Really outside. You haven't. Oh, you guys gotta go to the Grand Canyon. I mean, don't get me wrong. It could be bigger. No, totally kidding. It's literally it's the Grand Canyon. You gotta see it. When I used to take tours there, I would blindfold people. I'd walk them to the Grand Canyon and then have to take the blindfolds off. It's very entertaining. So this is the inner Richmond district. It's kind of like oceans on one side and then it actually has Golden Gate Park on the other side. So Golden Gate Park is actually a man-made park. It's actually nothing, it's actually road. imagine seeing electricity for the very first time. I'm very excited. And then the power, it's right in the middle of the park. Kind of like a half a mile away from here, it's still blocked. Everybody thought it was a national excursion. Lights, sirens, frogs. It'll heal all their ailments. And they can sit under the lights, and all the problems will go away. Obviously, we know now that uninvisited is not a real problem, but